solitude remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala till his eyes begin to shed tears. These are the 7 categories or types of individuals who will be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whereby there will be no shade. 2 of them are clearly linked to us today. The second group of individuals is a young person who spent their life worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shabun. Doesn't say shaykhun. Doesn't say ajuzun. Doesn't say the elderly individual. A person old in age, because a person who reaches an age of maturity after the age of 40, that is something natural and normal that a person should begin to bend their knees and bring their face down to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they don't, then there's something critically wrong with that person. What concerns us is before the age of 40. That is the prime time of the individual. And thus the other categories we mentioned, that a woman proposes or offers herself to an individual, a person says, I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Abdul Bar, the famous Andalusi scholar, Spanish scholar, he mentions, this is the best hadith of fada'il. The best hadith of virtues. You know, many people compile books of fada'il, of virtues. If you want to study the best hadith, then this is the best hadith. That's why one of the ulama explaining this hadith, these 7 categories, has written 2 whole volumes of approximately 500 pages each, explaining this one hadith about the fawaid and the benefits of these 7 individuals. And what links all of these 7 individuals together is something which may have slipped us by, wallahu a'lam. Ishtirakuhum fi mukhalafati ahwa'ihim. All of them come together that they all break their desires. They all break their desires and go against their desires. Imam Adil, a just Imam, is breaking his sovereign power and ability to do whatever he wants to do. But he breaks that desire to be just and to be fair, which obviously we can visualize at the moment very rarely exists today in the Muslim Ummah. Likewise, a young individual breaks the temptations, doesn't follow them. Likewise, a person who loves their wealth. لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You're never going to attain piety until you don't spend the things that you love. Likewise, coming to the masjid. بَشِّرُوا مَشَّائِينَ بِاللَّيْلِ. Give glad tidings to individuals who come in the darknesses to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salatul Fajr, Salatul Isha. The most difficult prayer upon the hypocrites are these 2 prayers. And the person knew the reward for these prayers, they would even crawl to the masjid. That shows the importance. Many young individuals talk about great lofty goals. Come for Salatul Fajr, come for Salatul Isha, or Fajr specifically. How many young individuals do you find standing there, coming for that prayer? That's a sign, may Allah forbid, of hypocrisy, especially if it's habitual. Once in a while it can happen to any individual. But that is the beginning of the mu'min, the believer, of striving their action from Salatul Fajr. So they break their desires to carry out these actions. Likewise, the other individuals are clear as well in breaking their desires. Likewise, we find that the individual in general, all of us, the young and the old, that we'll be asked about certain actions that took place or certain blessings that have been placed upon us. Thus you find that none of us will move in the day of judgment until we're asked about 5 factors. Amongst those 5 factors that we find, an umrihi fima afnahu, about our age, how we spent it. So time is something precious for a Muslim. So this concept of doing whatever you want to do and then just returning back at a later stage, those years which have gone by cannot come back once again. That's why Imam al-Hasan al-Basri mentioned that you are nothing but a collection of time put together. That's what a human being is. And every second, every hour, every day that goes by, it is a part of you that is taken away. Just like you find an egg timer, the sand that begins to flow through, once it begins to trickle down, it's taken away. That's what we are, a collection of times and days put together. وَالْيَوْمْ ضَيْفُكَ. Every day is a guest. And a guest does 2 things. One of 2 things. أَمَّا يَحْمَدُكَ أَوْ يَذُمُّكَ. A guest will either praise you or a guest will blame you. So basically every day is hujjatun lana, hujjatun alayna. Every day is an evidence for us or evidence against us. Likewise, we find وَعَنْ شَبَابِهِ فِيمَا أَبْلَاهُ. Quite specifically, the hadith is mentioning وَعَنْ شَبَابِهِ, the time when you was young, and how did you waste or spend that time? So many of us become غافلون, unaware, just like we heard tonight as well. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. Clear ayat. But these people cannot be the same. Do not become like those individuals who forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will forget you and make you forget your own self. You don't know what you're doing. They're not the same. The people of paradise and the people of hellfire. People of paradise are successful individuals. And that's you find inside Surah Taha. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى قَالَ رَبِّ لِمَ حَشَرْتَنِي أَعْمَى وَقَدْ كُنْتُ بَصِيرًا قَالَ كَذَلِكَ أَتَتْكَ آيَاتُنَا فَنَسِيتَهَا وَكَذَلِكَ الْيَوْمَ تُنْسَى. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي, whoever turns away from the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First we find فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. The first lesson that we extract from this ayah inside Surah Taha, that person will have a restricted life in this dunya. There'll be no tranquility, there'll be no peace. The only peace a person finds, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Only in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do hearts find tranquility and peace. So that's the first promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter what these people possess and what they own, you turn away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll have a restricted life. وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. Second, we find on the day of judgment, the person will be raised up in a state of blindness. قَالَ رَبِّ لِمَ حَشَرْتَنِي أَعْمَى وَقَدْ كُنْتُ بَصِيرًا. Oh my Lord, why are you making me blind on this day? وَقَدْ كُنْتُ بَصِيرًا. Why have you made me kafif, ضَرِير, not able to see? Why have you done that to me on this day? وَقَدْ كُنْتُ بَصِيرًا. I could see in this dunya. I had the ability to visualize and perceive and to reflect. You know why? Because our signs came to you inside this dunya. فَنَسِيتَهَا. You forgot them. You turned away from them. وَكَذَلِكَ الْيَوْمَ تُنْسَى. And today we're going to forget you, turn away from you. So that's sometimes when people in their young days don't remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could leave them in their darkness and leave them to carry on that path. And sometimes never ever wake up and come out that path. The only time they wake up is probably inside the coffin. At that time, may Allah forbid, it's going to be too late. So thus we find that everyone will be shown signs. وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Even within your own self, you'll be shown the signs to recognize and to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. We show them our signs all around them and within themselves. حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ. Until they begin to recognize that this is the truth. آيَاتٍ مُفَصَّلَاتٍ. Numerous signs will be sent down, we find upon Bani Israel and the people of Fir'aun. Likewise, numerous signs upon us as well. وَإِنْ يَرَوْا كُلَّ آيَةٍ لَا يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَا. But some people who see every single sign, they're not going to still believe. Likewise, we find the end of Surah Tawbah. أَوَلَا يَرَوْنَ أَنَّهُمْ يُفْتَنُونَ فِي كُلِّ عَامٍ مَرَّةً أَوْ مَرَّتَيْنِ ثُمَّ لَا يَتُوبُونَ وَلَا هُمْ يَذَّكَّرُونَ. Why don't these people reflect? Once in a year, twice in a year, we test you some calamity, some difficulty, that you may repent back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you may pay heed. Likewise inside Surah Rum, the 30th chapter of the Quran, ظَهَرَ الْفَسَادُ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِي النَّاسِ لِيُذِيقَهُمْ بَعْدَ الَّذِي عَمِلُوا لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. Corruption has appeared upon the land and the oceans because what man has sent forth with his own hands. You may then taste your own fruits of the actions that you used to do, and then eventually you may repent back and turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.